this is fabulous. Finally, somebody has seen the fraud and the schemes that are behind the domestic violence laws. I want you to look closely here. What does that say? A single fraud scheme. That's what's been going on in the United States for an awful long time, since '97 when they passed that. It says pro-migration advocate turned outrage to meter up to a maximum after Attorney General Jeff Sessions reversed rules allowing Central Americans to get asylum if they are threatened by domestic violence or by gang violence. You're going, oh, this could be a death sentence for many. Oh. They perpetrated this on the American public many, many years ago. You know, they're trying to make everything a social agenda. The Democrats wanted the women's votes, so guess what? So, what's his name? Frank Luntenberg or Luntenbaugh or something like that. He come up with this thing, and you know, all the Democrats right on it. Yeah, we got to pass this and save the poor women. Well, it's been a fraud from the beginning. Camilla Harris, yeah. Had the police on her husband a couple of times, but the officer said they wouldn't interfere in a marital relationship. So she fled to the United States to save her life. Oh, give me a break. You know, they passed that. All this was a scapegoat. Then they perpetrated this scheme many, many years ago. And then these women go, okay, you know, I didn't know how to get out of my relationship, and this is just what I need. The asylum thing's got to be for a particular group, so on, socially distinct within the society, persecuted, and so on. It's hype. It's hype, that domestic violence. You want to get rid of your husband. You know, you're tired of him. You know, and you want something else. All right, you got this law to fall back on. So you keep inciting him and pushing at him and poking and doing everything in your control to prompt him to, you know, maybe push you on the couch, or, you know, he's just tired of it. He can't take it anymore. But they keep pushing and pushing, and then when you go see your lawyer, the lawyer tells you, oh yeah, you have this you probably had this happen to you. You know, put stuff in their mind, so that when they go into a courtroom, that they can get more money off of their husband. And the poor guy didn't do anything. He's out working his butt off, working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, maybe even 2 jobs, and still it doesn't make the lady happy. Yeah, it doesn't do any good. All this was a way for Democrats to get the women's vote, to pass more gun legislation, and it hasn't curbed a doggone thing. The social thing has been going on since the beginning of time. It used to be a guy could just write his wife a divorce paper, and away she went. But it's not that way anymore. Now you got lawyers involved, and the lawyers want money. The woman wants money from the guy. No, this isn't good. Oh, these people are oh man, I'm just so wound up about this whole thing. It's just crazy. But this has been going on a long time. Yeah. But social group phrase is a law which offers asylum to people who are persecuted for their race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. But the decision by Obama's lawyers to invent 2 new social groups people who suffered domestic violence and people who were threatened by gangs created a rush to the border. Well, you know, when you want out of a relationship, you can become very cunning, very devious, and this just makes your cunningness just a little bit more easier to get out of a relationship. That's why guys don't want to get married anymore. Why get married? If the person's going to go their own way, you know. I want you to see this thing here. Yeah, the social group phrase in the law, which offers asylum to people who are persecuted for their race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. But the decision by Obama's lawyers to invent the two new social groups, people who suffered domestic violence and people who were threatened by gangs, created a rush to the border. Now, that's the same thing that's going on in the United States of America. They passed that domestic violence bill, and then anyone who had been divorced before that, before the 1997 law came into effect, they were also broomed right into that particular group because it was a misdemeanor. But now they're trying to make it a felony so that you cannot have a firearm. Now, I had a police buddy who in 1980, he got divorced just before I did. His wife was messing around on me. He worked second shift and third shift, you know, all the time, all kind of hours. Well, his wife got lonely. You know how it is. And it could be, you know, if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was a lady police officer, you know, the husband could have gotten lonely. Same thing. But anyway, he come home and there was beer cans in his front yard. He asked her, you know, where those come from? Well, my dad was over. Well, he knew that her dad would not ever drink that kind of beer. And she wasn't dressed too appropriate at that time of the night. Her breast hanging out, and you know, on the sides, and real tight pant or shorts, and she just didn't smell right. And so he goes, well, who was over here? And she wasn't coughing the thing up, and then she got pissed at him, and she hauled off and slapped him. Not once, but twice. So he pushed her down on the couch. He went to bed. Next day he got up, she was gone. She took the kids. School was still in session, but she took the kids, kept them out of school. Went to her boyfriend's house. But anyway, she filed a thing against him, and later she dropped it. But apparently the state picked it up. This is in 1980 now. And, well, domestic violence. Well, he was fine from 1980 until 1997. He was allowed to carry a firearm and go buy firearms, whatever. But after they passed this law in 97, it went all the way back to Adam and Eve. And if you look at your Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, you are not allowed to pass ex post facto law. You're not allowed to pass a law after the commission of a crime that inflicts more penalties on it. Well, the penalty was he was no longer able to enjoy his rights under the Constitution. He couldn't have a firearm because he had been convicted of a misdemeanor. Oh, and by the way, he also got custody of his 3 kids, and he raised them by himself. Yeah. You getting the picture now? That's how this domestic violence things work. So she went off and called him up and said, yeah, I miss you, and I miss the security, and I'm thinking about coming home. And he goes, you better think again, lady. So they were married like 10, 11 years, and then the divorce. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff that they pushed on. You cannot pass a law after the fact and then charge you for it. And that's just what they were doing. They were making him pay a penalty by not having his gun rights restored. They were never taken away from him to begin with. They never took his gun rights away. So how could they make it illegal for him now? So that's what's going on in America. And if you don't call your congressman and get something done, it's going to continue. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Once you're placed under this doggone thing, it sticks with you. It's not good. It's not right. It's not constitutional. But now they want to bring in all these illegals and give them amnesty. Now they broke the law by coming across the border and, being here. That was a criminal act. If you're going to give these people amnesty, you better clear the books on this domestic violence law. Clear the books. Give all these real Americans amnesty. Like it had never happened. Because it shouldn't have happened. It should have never been passed. Bob Barr, who was a congressman down in Georgia, tried to tell Congress about this. You couldn't do this because of the law. You can't pass a law after the fact. They didn't listen. They passed it. That's how they do things, people. All right, I've ranted long enough. Give you the update on this. I just thought it was just funny. Not funny, it was great. Yeah, Sessions used his authority as Attorney General to reverse rules written by lawyers under Barack Obama, which effectively allowed a huge number of migrants to get into the United States and get work permits by insisting they had been beaten by their husband or threatened by gang members. The catch and release loopholes were created by Obama's staffers who declared that such victims were part of a particular social group. So these migrants and lawyers use this legal loopholes in the court and become backlogged, and they allowed at least 400,000 migrants to work in the United States. That took down the wages because they were taking jobs away from the people. Yes, sir. Okay, now you know what's going on, and thanks for watching. I'll put a link for the report at the bottom of this.